Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game So today I got a very fun and very exciting episode for you guys today because as of 24 hours ago, at least to the recording of this audio, Nemo622, I'm just going to refer to as Nemo from now on, released their ROM hack Pokemon Lazarus. And to say that this game is absolutely from ground up a completely new Pokemon game based upon the Game Boy Advance releases and also having kind of a Game Boy Color theme, I 100% mean it. This is legit just a massive new Pokemon game, and considering Nintendo fans and Pokemon fans haven't exactly been stoked with what Nintendo's been releasing for new Pokemon games lately, this is definitely something that is going to fill a very big hole in Pokemon fans' hearts. Before I get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, and down below hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, got a Patreon link down below as well. But I cannot stress enough, from every single pixel in this game, from the music to the storyline, to the towns and different areas you're going to explore, this is absolutely a love letter to this generation of Pokemon, and honestly I think is every bit as good as what Nintendo could have made back in the day. When it comes to ROM hacks or fan games, there really is a bar in which I say it's the highest compliment I can provide. If I did not tell you this was a ROM hack and someone just released it as a joke saying it was a lost Nintendo Pokemon game that never actually saw retail store shelves, you would 100% believe it here. I just absolutely love everything Nemo's done with this game. It is just massive, and that really is the takeaway. This isn't going to be an hour or two kind of tech demo or some small experience. This is legit just straight up a brand new Pokemon game that you can sit down and play today that is going to give you dozens upon dozens of hours of fun with that classic 16 to 32-bit Game Boy Advance aesthetic. And honestly, I kind of love the mix of the aesthetics here, kind of having both the Game Boy Advance feel as well as some Game Boy Color inspirations in the palette and overall look. But leave me a comment down below and you tell me on that graphical styling, how do you feel about that? I'm always curious to hear what you think when I'm actually doing these videos in the comment section. But I really do appreciate that something like this can exist because this is from a single developer, and trust me, the amount of work you're going to see here, I cannot imagine the hundreds of hours they spent actually getting this thing made. Don't forget, it isn't just a graphical conversion, it isn't just a fan game, it's a full script, it's new artwork, new assets from the top down, basically one person making a game just like Nintendo would do, except Nintendo would have dozens upon dozens of people, maybe even upwards to 100, working on a release like this versus one person. And honestly, I don't know how one person is able to achieve something like this, but Nemo has done what I would consider the impossible, basically giving fans a brand new Pokemon experience that really does hit. Now I'm just showing you guys the opening of the game in the first few areas because I want to kind of keep some spoilers away from this video. I have played this for maybe about 6 hours in my spare time over the weekend, and I had an absolute blast with it, and admittedly, I am not the biggest Pokemon fan. I played some of the 2D games back in the day, but for the more modern stuff, it really just doesn't hit me the way I want a game like this to actually go. And that is why I think Pokemon Lazarus is so important, because if you're looking for more of that old school Pokemon style gameplay, storyline, and just overall world building, this is the type of experience that's 100% going to give that to you. Because again, with Nintendo's most recent Pokemon games, they've definitely had some mixed reviews and mixed reception as far as the gameplay goes, and as far as the graphics go. Honestly, some of the new stuff, even the Switch 2 stuff, kind of makes it seem like someone in the art department there has been phoning it in recently. And that's not really a knock on Pokemon. I still think it's a fun franchise. I just don't think the most recent stuff really is making anybody happy, and it kind of feels like Nintendo maybe's lost their way a little bit with the franchise. Now imagine if Nintendo released something like this for Switch 2 with this aesthetic. It would absolutely review like 9.5 out of 10. People would flock to store shelves and buy it for $80 and be happy to do so. The best part is, obviously, this is a $0 experience, and if you do want to play it, I have left a link in the description below where you can grab the patch and then go ahead and patch your original game however you want to do so, but you definitely should own it. I always like to say that at least. And again, as we go inside here, the aesthetic really is the #1 takeaway when you first start this game. Sure, it doesn't look exactly as graphically impressive as a Game Boy Advance could look, but that's because that's exactly the design intent that the developer's going for here. And I will say, I think the music is a 10 out of 10 as well. For a soundtrack sample, I'll be right back. The music's super fun and obviously has that muffled Game Boy Advance sound, but that's part and parcel, part of the sound hardware kind of vibe that the Game Boy Advance has, because even though that music is great, the sound hardware in Game Boy Advance has never been my favorite thing in the world. And just so you know, if you do want to play this one, you can basically play it however you want, real hardware with a flash cartridge, emulation, or MiSTer FPGA. But as we kind of walk around the town here, again, I just can't believe that Nemo was able to pull off such a big adventure. And as a slight pivot to the actual review of this ROM hack right now, I will say, I did read online that the maker of this has been taking some hate and actually stepping back because people have been really being a little bit aggressive on the overall critique to the point in time where it kind of feels a little bit rude. I know my audience would never do that, but again, remember, people make these things in their spare time for absolutely free. They are not obligated to do so, and honestly, I have bought brand new games for $70, $80 that pale in comparison to the amount of love, the amount of fun and attention this game has received. So as far as the creator of this, Nemo, if you're listening, you absolutely nailed the ever-loving shit out of this, and I am so stoked to be able to play something like it. So ignore the people that say it's not good. I do not know how they could ever have that opinion, because this is just straight up fun. And that's why I decided to do a video on it, even though I'm not really known for talking about Pokemon on the channel outside of some N64 testing. I really haven't felt like playing any of the modern games, and honestly I kind of consider Pokemon to be a franchise that I knew existed, but I might not ever go back to as far as my gaming life is concerned. But Pokemon Lazarus has 100% sucked me back in, and I still have that same fun that I did back like 20 years ago when I was playing some Pokemon games, and that really is the #1 achievement here, at least for me personally. It makes me want to play the franchise again in a situation where I kind of basically lost interest in it in its entirety, and that is kind of how it works for gaming, especially if you start gaming as a kid and play games for the rest of your life. You're going to have ebbs and flows on certain genres and certain franchises. Something that was your absolute favorite 15 years ago, you might not even bother to play right now. So this definitely kind of got me back into that Pokemon loop. I wanted to see what was coming next, who I'd actually meet, what towns I'd go to, and kind of just basically want to see, quote unquote, what's around the corner. And that again is a testament to just how engrossing this game is. It is going to get its hooks into you, it's going to suck you in, and it's going to make you play it for hour upon hour, and you're not even going to notice all that time goes through. And even though I'm not sure if the developer Nemo intended it or not, there's definitely a couple of sly jokes here that definitely made me laugh, including one about water sports as an attack. So if that was something that was intentional, 10 out of 10. If it was unintentional, I think I like it even better than that. But if you have played this one, leave me a comment down below and tell me what you think, because I would be curious, because this has definitely been an anticipated release, at least in Pokemon circles, and I know a lot of people I chat with on Twitter and Discord have been messaging me into the run-up of its release asking, are you going to make a video about it? And I definitely felt like I love giving a showcase for fans and modders out there, the ROM hackers that are making these things, and because this is Pokemon and it ended up being really good, I definitely wanted to make that video. Because if you're not aware, when new ROM hacks come out, when new games come out and you think I would have covered them but didn't, that means I played them in the background, I didn't enjoy them, so I didn't make a video, because I don't make videos to tell you games are bad, I make videos to tell you games are incredible, and that's exactly what Pokemon Lazarus is. 10 out of 10 incredible. But it's soundtrack sample 2 times, 35 seconds, and I'll be right back with more. In some ways, from the soundtrack to the overall graphics, I get a little bit like maybe 10 to 15% of an Earthbound vibe here, maybe even a little Mother 3 mixed in. And I love the transition with the Pokeballs there going into the actual battle. So now we have the Farmer Emmerich battle. You're basically getting a little bit into the story here, but again, I'm not really going that deep into the game because I don't really want to ruin your sensation of discovery, because this ROM hack is absolutely massive. You're going to be experiencing so many different things and seeing so many different things. I want you to have that sensation of discovery for the first time the same way every other player is going to be enjoying it. Because trust me, again, this thing is absolutely just mind-blowingly complex. It has a ton of different mechanics, a ton of different areas to explore, and really does feel like something that Nintendo themselves would have released like 15-20 years ago. And like I like to say, that is the #1 compliment I can give a ROM hack. If it feels like something that would have been released at retail on a cartridge packaged up by Nintendo, then you know full well it absolutely has to be good, because honestly, this era of Pokemon was Nintendo and all the rest of the developers absolutely firing on all cylinders and killing it. And right now today they kind of seem to have lost that thread just a little bit. But that's why it's amazing that fans are out there basically giving us the same sort of experience, because damn it, I absolutely love that there is that level of dedication and love for a franchise out there that someone wants to spend all of their spare time, at least I would assume all their spare time because this thing is massive, creating a brand new experience for fans to enjoy. And I do see some comments lately on ROM hacks and different ports where people say it's a waste of time, they shouldn't have made that. I do not understand this mindset whatsoever, because again, remember, it is their time, not your time. You are free and clear to spend whatever time you want doing whatever you want. If you think that's valuable, then that means it is. And as far as games like this are concerned, definitely the person that made this absolutely wanted to do it, and they absolutely nailed the brief. I would say this is definitely an 11 out of 10 in my opinion, even if that number doesn't make sense. We're kind of going with a Spinal Tap grading curve here. But the reality is, we don't get ROM hacks like this very often. Sure, there are hundreds upon hundreds of ROM hacks released every single year, but entirely new games and franchises that are as good, if not better, than the games that released back in the day, that have this level of polish, love, and dedication shown to them. Those are rarities, and I absolutely always want to talk about them on the channel, even if it is in a franchise Pokemon, which I haven't played in a very long time. But now I'm definitely going to finish up Pokemon Lazarus, and maybe it'll get me back into the franchise if Nintendo makes a really good game at some point in time. But we are done. Definitely check this one out. Links in the description below. And the developer, if you're listening, ignore the haters. You are 100% great here. Bye-bye.